Hello and welcome to Minus the Hangover, the weekly No-Lo Drinks podcast that reaches the parts that other podcasts can't reach. With me, Christophe Phillips.
And with me, Pete Mason.
We at Minus the Hangover take a look at 3 different No-Lo drinks and offer our refreshingly honest and unabashed views on them. A review, if you will, to see if we would part with our hard-earned cash for them ourselves. Because, well, Pete, that really is the only metric, it's the only way of judging a drink that matters, don't you think?
Absolutely. Would I literally pay money out of my own pocket?
I mean, that's kind of the long and the short, really, isn't it? For those drinks we'll be covering in the coming weeks and months, well, it's a real range of drinks. It's no and low alcohol drinks in all their glorious variety. So it's everything from beers, ciders and wines to kombuchas, tonics, mocktails and, well, basically any non-alcoholic drink or virtually non-alcoholic drink that's clearly aimed at adults.
And I think it's also worth saying that we're going to be looking at some kind of posh sodas as well. So, there will be some kind of nice lemonades and that there. But yeah, absolutely. More kind of the fever-tree end of the market rather than, I don't know, I can't even name a drink that's aimed at children.
Tap water. It's a thumbs up from me because you need it to live. Yeah. What's more, every week in a segment we like to call Popping the Cork, we lift the lid, if you will, or rather pop the cork on a particular aspect of the no-lo drinks industry from both a producer and a consumer perspective to unpick some of its more perhaps confusing aspects or even, dare I say, some of the more interesting questions that spring forth from the ever-growing world of no and low alcohol drinks. So, Pete, first off, what's on the drinks menu today?
Well, before that, I'd just like to address the elephant in the room here. Are you aware of a type of word called a euphemism?
Yeah, where are you going with this? Okay.
So the name of our new segment's called Popping the Cork. Now, I'm not saying that the first thing that comes to mind is a particular euphemism, but, it's perhaps a second.
You shock me, Pete. You shock me. There I am, sweet and innocent, living my life in blissful ignorance.
I'm happy to stick with Popping the Cork for the time being. We may well change it in future episodes. We'll see how it goes.
I genuinely hadn't considered that, but you know what? That's there's some subtext there that perhaps we we don't want to wade into. Moving swiftly on.
Absolutely.
Go.
So in terms of drinks, though, we are trying 3 drinks. The first one is Brulo, a Lust for Life, which is a no-low IPA. The second drink is a Stowford Press, low-alcohol cider. And the third is the Kopparberg gin and lemonade flavoured drink. So on top of the gin and lemonade is also strawberry and lime. So I don't know what to expect, quite frankly.
Well, there you go. It's an IPA, a cider and a flavoured drink with the most clauses in the name since George Lucas released Star Wars, Episode 4, A New Hope, Special Edition. I mean, it's exhausting, but will it taste nice? I mean, that's what we're here for.
We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. All in due course. But first, Pete, what topic are we popping the cork or not, perhaps, today?
Steady on. So today we're talking about ABV.
Oh, okay.
Basically, you see it on the side of all of these no-low drinks and standard alcoholic drinks. But what does it mean? That's what you'll find out.
Well, exactly. I mean, I've got to say, just from the off, I don't know. I don't really know. I've always kind of assumed it's like the average. I don't know. We're going to get into that. But first on, let's get on with Lust for Life IPA. Let's go. Back in a mo.
So here we are, Brulo Lust for Life IPA. The name of the brewery is Brulo, and they're quite a smallish brand. They're actually based up in Scotland, but they actually don't brew themselves. They have it what's called contract brewed by a brewery over in the Netherlands, actually.
Oh, okay. I've not come across that before. Is that a thing where you can just sort of, I don't know, commission other people to brew stuff for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it happens more than you think. So if you've got an existing brewery, for example, you might have more demands for your beer than you can supply. You might contract brew with someone. Or if you are a brewery and you have more capacity than you have demand, again, you might rent out your brew kit to either someone to use or you might brew someone else's beer for them.
Oh, fair enough.
This particular brewery, they specialise in contract brewing. So there's a surprising number of different beer brands which will actually use this particular brewery. It's called a De Proof Brewery. I don't know how you pronounce it. That's my comment. It's in, well, Dutch, I presume.
Yeah.
But yes, and I think it means the testing brewery. Because again, if you've got a very big brewery and they want to come up with new recipes, then they might use someone else's kit for that. So they're not making absolutely masses of beer when they're kind of trying new stuff out.
I see. Yeah, smart.
So this is Lust for Life. This is an IPA, so an India Pale Ale. In fact, on the can itself, it says it's a DDH IPA.
Yeah, I haven't known what that is, so I have been wondering.
So DDH means double dry hopped. You basically dry hop when you add lots of sort of flavouring hops at the end. And double dry hopping is just basically you putting lots of hops in. So we should expect a lot of hop character out of this, lots of flavours. And in fact, it says on the sides, you've got ripe, juicy character of mango, peach and pine. Now, judging by the hops that they're actually using, which are Citra, Simcoe and Mosaic, that sounds about right to me. Now, these are three of my favourite hops, I must say. They're American hops. And they're quite common, really, in kind of modern craft beers. But yes, the kind of flavours we get, definitely sort of mango, tropical, peach, pine. You might get some blueberry from the Mosaic as well. So let's see. Should we open it up?
Yeah, why not?
So that is pretty pale, actually, for an IPA.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it forms a lovely head. And it's got some nice carbonation coming through as well.
Yeah, get your nose in. Oh, that smells good.
It does smell good. It is hoppy. That is coming through. It does smell quite sweet as well.
Yes, it does. It does smell quite sweet. And I expect it to be a bit sweet as well because this has actually got no alcohol in it at all. It's a zero product.
Yeah.
And so I'm expecting there to be some sweetness to provide some body. But it smells absolutely delicious. It is definitely kind of tropically. I'm getting some blueberries from that.
Yeah, I think so too, actually. And I think, I am getting that kind of mango-y freshness, very tropical feel to it. And it really does lift up. It's very inviting, actually. Should we give it a taste?
Oh, yeah. That is so good.
Oh, that's really good, actually. That's really good. There's
plenty of body. For a zero product, there's a lot of body to it. There's a lot of hop character.
There is.
It's kind of a gentle bitterness. See, they call it an IPA. For me, an IPA is more bitter than this and more kind of assertive in its bitterness. But, I mean, that's not a complaint. I really, really like this.
Yeah, it just sneaks into being what I would think of as an IPA. But you're right, it does have body, but it doesn't come across as being overly sweet, even though, again, it was on that smell. It's very nicely balanced, but it is smooth. There is that little bit of bitterness that makes it refreshing, and it makes it very inviting.
There's a touch of sweetness to it, although there's not that much sugar in there. It's 3.2 grams per 100 ml. So in a 330 can, you're looking at about 2 teaspoons of sugar, which is actually pretty low as far as beers go. But no, it is probably one of my favourite, certainly one of my favourite no-low beers. They've captured what it is to be an IPA in terms of the hop character so well. It's so easy to get an IPA where it smells amazing and then the taste doesn't quite match the aroma. But this really does.
It's like fully informed by hops. I know that's such a way to phrase it.
It insists upon itself.
It does insist upon but it really does. The hops are there. They are there in the smell, they're there in the body, and they're there in the taste and the aftertaste as well. It certainly does insist upon its hop character.
Indeed. So in terms of ingredients, it's a refreshingly short list, actually. Water, barley, wheat, hops and yeast. That's it. So there's no kind of like additives in there at all.
It's interesting, actually, because the wheat being in there, it does have a little element of a wheat beer to it as well. So I can definitely sense that wheat is there.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the tricks to kind of adding body to beers is by using a number of different grains. So sometimes you see oats in there as well. So it describes itself as being an alcohol-free beer, and it is literally labelled as 0.0%. Literally, there's no alcohol in it at all. I bought this can from Morrison's for about £2. Unfortunately, Morrison's don't stock it anymore, which is a real shame. Yeah. So it's a lot harder to get hold of. You don't think any supermarkets stock it. Online, you're looking at about £2.80 to £3 for a can. And at £2, I think this is an absolute bargain. At £3, that's quite a lot.
It is, and compared to some of the other ones that we've, other Nolos that we've stood it up against as well. That said, I do think it's very good, and as someone I'm quite an IPA kind of person. If I go out and have, a standard alcoholic drink, it will usually be an IPA. That really stands up for me, and it's refreshing to have one that really does. IPAs I've been a little bit left wanting on lately, but that's very good.
Just quickly as well, so we've bought it in a 330ml can because that's the only format you can get it in. It's 56 calories in the can. As I say, it's about 10 grams of sugar. It is vegan, but it is not gluten-free. I think it's time to give it a thumbs up or thumbs down, and I don't think it's going to be any surprise when I'm going to give it a massive thumbs up, because this is, as I say, one of my favourite Nolo beers that I've had. So yeah, absolute thumbs up.
Yeah, it's very convincing, isn't it? For me, it could do with just a little bit more bitterness, but it's an excellent IPA. It really hits the spot. It smells lovely, it tastes lovely, and the aftertaste is amazing. It leaves me wanting more. It's a resounding thumbs up. But what a shame, Morrison's. What are you doing, Morrison's, and all the other supermarkets? Come on.
As I say, for £2 in the supermarket, that is an absolute no-brainer.
It's a steal. Okay, so for our second drink today, we are going to be looking at Stowford Press Cider, or to give it its full title, Stowford Press Apple Cider Low Alcohol. Now, this is a 0.5% ABV. It's if you go on their website, actually, they've got a very handy stats table that gives you all these kind of stats with all their different drinks that they have. So, per 100 mils, there are 29 calories. But Pete, I want you to try some quick maths here. So, 100 mils is 29 calories. So what is it per 500 mils in a bottle?
It is 145.
Yeah, that's what you'd think. But no, it's 144 per serving, according to this table. I know.
Foiled again by rounding.
The pedants are revolting, aren't they? But there you go. It's 144 per serving, which isn't crazy. And given that it's a cider. But again, quick maths, per 100 mils for the sugars, 6.25. So sugars per serving, Pete, what do you think?
31.25.
Well done. See, that one, there's no loss of any kind of sugars or anything like that. It was just a weird glitch, and it just made me smile.
It's because they use a pleasing amount of precision in with the
exactly.
two decimal places. So it's a thumbs up from me already. I'm liking the cider.
So it's suitable for vegans, vegetarians and celiacs, which means it doesn't have any gluten in it as well.
So it's gluten-free, yeah.
Exactly, gluten-free. And they quite proudly on their website talk you through what kind of is in it and what isn't in it. So it does contain sulfites, which is an antioxidant vital for maintaining freshness, and the levels, they say, are well within legal limits. I don't know what those limits are, but they're well within, so that's good.
The fact that they feel that they need to say that it's well within legal limits is quite funny.
Exactly.
What would they say if it wasn't?
Just keep stum. Who is even the maker of this? Well, it's Westons, which is a brewer in Herefordshire.
Okay.
So the main cider, and presumably this as well, this version, the low alcohol version, is produced from apples within 50 miles of their Much Markle farm in Herefordshire. Now, if that's as unfamiliar to you as it is for me, then you'll love the map that they've got on their website. Because like I say, it's quite a glossy, quite a snazzy website. They've got this hilarious map of Herefordshire that puts Much Markle, their farm front and centre. And it really reminded me of the map in, in The Simpsons, where you get that con man, Lyle Lanley, who's selling them a monorail. And he says, this will put Springfield on the map, like North Haverbrook, Brockley and Ogdenville. And he shows a map, and it's just those three places. That's what this map of Herefordshire looks like, with Much Markle kind of in the middle. I know they've got a shout about where they're from, but it just made me laugh. So we'll just give it an open, and we'll give it a pour. There we go. So it pours out very satisfyingly. It looks exactly like you'd expect. A really crisp, clear cider. Quite pale, in fact. Now, you're going in on the smell. It does have a good cidery smell.
It does, actually. I've not had this cider before, and I've not always been a fan of Nolo ciders, but this smells like the real thing.
Let's go in on the taste.
Ooh, that's not bad.
It's my first taste, and that really is much closer to being cider than to being apple juice, I think.
That has that kind of tartness and that kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, cidery flavour that I think everyone who's had cider will be able to understand what I mean by that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it tastes like cider, and I don't know why I'm so surprised.
Well, it really does, actually, and I think it does a really convincing job. It's quite dry on the tongue.
This is really nice. I'm genuinely impressed.
Yeah, and it's really convincing as a, standard alcoholic cider, I think. Yes, it still kind of lacks a little bit on the aftertaste, a little bit on the body, because that's what the alcohol would provide. But on every other metric, I think that's pretty close. That's pretty good, isn't it?
I really like this, actually. I'm genuinely surprised by it because, as I say, I've had some Nolo ciders and been quite disappointed. We probably shouldn't expect all of these kind of analogues to taste like the standard drink. But, it's a welcome surprise when sometimes they do, and this absolutely does.
Well, it's funny as well, because I've said before, I'm not a massive cider drinker. There are definitely some ciders out there I don't like that other people really like. This one I like. So it's almost like it's making a convert out of me. I don't want to kind of sing its praises too high, because I think, the body is slightly lacking and the aftertaste is not quite as astringent as it could be. And I think you'd want that in a cider, or certainly I do. But I think it's very convincing and very good. So price, I bought this so long ago, I can't quite remember how much I paid for it or where I got it from. I think from Morrison's. But I did a quick look online, and prices range from £1.27 a bottle at Asda to £1.65 at Tesco's.
Yeah, it's decent value.
It's decent value, that's the thing. But what do you think, Pete? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Yeah, it's a pretty easy thumbs up, to be honest. If I was in a supermarket and I wanted a cider, I would happily drink it. I mean, that doesn't happen very often, I have to say. But if I were in that situation, yeah, absolutely. And particularly at the price, £1.27 at Asda, thumbs up.
Yeah, pretty decent price and pretty decent value. Again, is it perfect? Maybe not quite. It's still, for me, quite sweet. Most ciders are. But I think it's very convincing, very nice. Like you, a really easy thumbs up.
Excellent. So that's 2 thumbs up for Stowford Press, low alcohol cider.
It certainly is.
And now we're on to this week's feature, which is about ABV. What are those letters, 3 little letters that are written on the side of all these bottles and cans? ABV, alcohol by volume. It's always written as a percentage. Something like a beer might say 5%, something like a Nolo beer might say 0.5%. And it's literally the percentage of that liquid that is taken up by alcohol, by ethanol. And that's by volume. So that's the amount of space that it takes up rather than, weight.
Okay.
Volumes are generally measured in things like litres or millilitres, or if you're old school, it's kind of pints or fluid ounces. Old school or American, obviously, because they don't want to enter the 21st century. The thing as well about ABV as a percentage is that it's kind of directly proportionate. And what I mean by that is if it's double, so 5 to 10%, is literally double the amount of alcohol in there. Right. So, there's literally twice as much alcohol in a 10% beer as there is in a 5% beer.
Right. So why does it feel so confusing, though? That's the thing. Why does that as a term feel confusing?
I think volume is probably a word that people don't generally use every day, except to talk about music. in terms of sort of decibels or whatever.
That's a good point.
But yeah, so if you've got 100 ml of a 5% beer, 95% of that is not alcohol. 5% is the amount of alcohol that's in there.
Fair enough.
It's literally as straightforward as that. So if you're looking at kind of like typical ABVs for drinks, so beer is most commonly kind of 4 to 5%. Stronger beers and ciders can be up to 8%. Wine varies between 10 and 14. Yeah. Spirits are around 40, so kind of 37.5 to sort of 45. Those are the kind of the standard alcoholic drinks, but other stuff has alcohol in it as well, but it isn't labelled. So some fruit juices have a small amount of alcohol in there.
Right.
So they might be up to kind of 0.1% ABV.
And that's naturally occurring alcohol, sugars that are converted into alcohol.
When you have the skins of things like grapes and apples, they'll often have natural yeasts on there. And so when they're crushed, those yeasts will go into the fruit juice as well. There might be a little bit of fermentation that will happen. The yeast and the sugar convert into CO2 and alcohol. Yeah. Generally speaking, they're then pasteurised, which kills off the yeast. But in between points, there's definitely potential to have a bit of alcohol. About 0.1%. Also, some foods have alcohol in as well. Bananas, for example, are around about 0.2%.
Really?
Yeah. Very ripe bananas are about 0.4. I mean, it's a very low amounts. An average pint of beer might be 4%.
Yes,
so you're talking a tenth in a very ripe banana, and a kind of banana that you probably wouldn't want to eat, to be honest. But then you've got things like breads as well, because, I mean, bread is essentially solid beer. It's literally the same ingredients.
That's amazing. That's the marketing angle that we've been waiting for. Solid beer.
So when yeast eats sugar, it excretes two things primarily. One is carbon dioxide, which is what we want in the bread, but also it excretes alcohol, which is what we want in the beer, primarily. Both are produced in both products. So yes, bread has a low ABV, but it's still about 1%, something like that.
Really? I never knew that. I just never knew it.
There's a bit of an aside here that I just want to touch on now. So because these foods do contain alcohol, this is occasionally used as a kind of an argument for treating some no-low beers. Let's say you've got a low alcohol beer of 0.5%. I think a lot of people, certainly in the industry, would like to classify that as alcohol-free. And occasionally it is labelled as such. And one of the arguments goes, well, bread's got more alcohol than this beer has. Or, a very ripe banana has got the same amount of alcohol as this 0.5% beer, and you don't call bananas low alcohol.
I see. Yeah.
I can see their logic. I don't think it's a good argument. And the main reason for that is just the quantity that you're consuming.
Yeah.
If you are avoiding alcohol, then drinking, let's say, 2 cans of Lucky Saint at 0.5%, that's like 660 millilitres or 660 grams. Yes, you can say, but look at this banana has got, 0.5% alcohol, but you're not eating 5 bananas in one go.
Yeah, it's my round, lads. I'll get this round in. Don't worry about it. We come back with a massive bunch of overripe bananas.
So, you could very easily drink 2 cans of Lucky Saint. You would not drink the equivalent in terms of weight, which is 5 bananas, or like 3/4 of a loaf of bread. That was just a little aside in terms of I don't think that's a good argument. But yes, we then look at things like no-low beers have got anywhere between 0 and typically 0.5%. So about a tenth of a standard lager or something like that. And it's actually easy to figure out how much alcohol that you're drinking. If you want to know how many millilitres of ethanol you're drinking, all you need to do is look at the size of the container and look at the percentage and just work it out that way. So, if you're having like a 500ml can of 5% lager, you're having 25 millilitres of ethanol.
Yeah.
So very straightforward. So do you want to know how brewers measure the ABV so they know what to put on the label?
I mean, I've got a really romantic image of, if you're a cider maker, you've got Farmer Jack, who has always been your chief taster. and he literally just gets the privilege of the very first draw of that barrel. And then just knows. He just knows because he's so seasoned at drinking. I'm imagining, very rosy-cheeked. He's got a straw hat on. He's slurring a little bit even before he has the first drink. That's just how he is these days. And he knows.
No, it's not. No, and
You shock me. It's surprising.
You can literally measure it in a lab if you want to, but most breweries don't have labs. But there's a nice, simple way of doing it, and it's based on the fact that alcohol is less dense than water is.
Okay.
1 milliliter of water weighs 1 gram.
Yes.
So 10 mils of water weigh 10 grams. Ethanol. 10 millilitres of ethanol weigh 8 grams. So it's about 80%.
Okay.
We can take that knowledge and we can figure out how strong a beer is, because what we do is we measure the density of the kind of the sugary water before it's fermented. So before we add the yeast to it. So sugary water is what I'm calling beer or cider or wine. It's all sugary water, basically.
Okay,
whether it's from grapes or apples
this
or barley.
being a topic on terminology, we're really getting into it now, aren't we? Sugary water.
So you get your sugary water, right? And you measure how dense it is. Something called a hydrometer. All it is, it looks like a big thermometer, essentially. It just bobs up and down. It floats in the liquid, and you can just read off how dense the liquid is by how much it's floating.
It's very clever. It's very old school, very kind of lo-fi. Very
clever.
It's
very lo-fi. It is very old school, but it's very precise as well.
Yeah.
You measure what's called the specific gravity, which is just the density of it. So normal water, we say, has a specific gravity of 1,000. It's not 1,000 anything, it's just 1,000. They just picked, right, we're going to say it's 1,000, lads. So fine, okay, that's good, that's good. Now, sugary water is more dense than water without the sugar.
Okay, yeah.
If 1,000 is water, then if you're making something like, let's say, a 5% beer, you might start off with something around 1,050, so 1,050. So it's denser, that's all you need to know. And then you ferment the sugary water and it turns into beer, and the yeast will gobble up the sugar, yum, 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 and create ethanol. And ethanol is a lot lighter. So if you measure the final gravity, so we've already done the original gravity at the start.
Yeah.
Then you take the final gravity, which is going to be lower, and then you just find out what the difference is. So let's say, to go back to my example, you started at 1,050, 1,050. You might end at 1,010. Or 1,010. So there's 40 points that you've dropped. And you can use that, you can plug that into a calculator, or you can even just multiply it by a particular number, and that will give you the ABV. It's the difference between the start and the end. So in that particular case, there's about 40 turns into about 5.25% ABV.
Wow.
So that's how they measure ABV. But there's actually other ways of specifying the alcohol content of stuff as well.
Okay.
Can you think of any?
The only one that jumps to mind is proof. And I don't know what that means, because I think you can have kind of crazy strength things that are, like it's 90% proof. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
Proof's a good one. We don't use that anymore in terms of specifying alcohol content, but we certainly used to for spirits in the UK. And in the UK, the proof nowadays, or actually I say nowadays, for the last 200 years, is basically defined as being 1.75 times the ABV.
Oh,
so if you see something that's 100 proof, that's not 100% ABV, you've got to basically divide it. And so 100 proof is actually 57.15%.
But
ABV.
Why? Why have this thing with this weird algorithm baked in the heart of it for a different term?
It didn't used to be defined as the ABV. For spirits, they used to measure the alcohol content by taking a specific gravity.
Okay.
They knew that for a particular specific gravity on something like a spirit, they could directly kind of map that to how strong it was. So if it's 100% proof, they would be able to take the gravity. So it's an old term, And it doesn't really have any meaning anymore, apart from kind of like marketing on labels. Incidentally, as well, in the US, it's different. It's twice the ABV. So 100 proof over there is 50% alcohol. You might say 100% proof rum, for example.
Yeah,
and
I'm
it just means
specifically
50%.
thinking of, I think it's those grizzled private eyes from the 30s and 40s would always talk about, I'm drinking this rum or this brandy and it's 100 proof or so, and they always say grizzled, and I don't know what it means, but it means a lot, but they can handle it because they've seen life on the streets. It's that kind of thing.
And it is quite a lot. 100% proof, as I say, is in the UK over 57%. And so that's proof. Another measurement of alcohol I know you'll have heard of, which is units.
Ah, okay, yeah, fair enough.
So, like nowadays, they say, you should have no more than 14 units. I think it used to be 21 for men and 14 for women, and now it's 14 for both. Or was last time I checked. I didn't actually bother doing the research for this particular part. But 1 unit is 10 millilitres of alcohol.
Okay, so it's quite metric then.
Yeah, it is. 10 millilitres, which works out as being 8 grams as well, as I said earlier on. And then just the final way I want to say it is occasionally you see alcohol by weight.
Okay.
On the side of beer bottles, actually. So in the US, again, some of the states, they define beer as being above a certain alcohol by weight. So they'll say 3.2 ABW, which works out as being 4% ABV. Who knows why? It's weird. I don't understand it. Just finally as well, the one other place that you would determine alcohol content by weight is in blood alcohol.
Ah, okay.
That's essentially in grams per litre, kind of. So it's a mixture of grams, a weight, and litre, a volume. But that's kind of fairly standard scientifically, basically. So yes, ABV is fairly straightforward. Alcohol by volume. And it makes it very easy to see exactly how much alcohol there is in a particular drink. So it's straightforward, dead easy.
There you go. My hat's off to you. An absolute masterclass there in kind of unpicking what is very simple but weirdly complicated subject matter there, all these different terms. And I have always wondered, and now I know. Well done, mate. Nice one.
And so to our final drink for this episode. This is Kopparberg gin and lemonade flavoured drink. This is literally what it says on the label. Strawberry and lime. It's
a hell of a name, isn't it? It's a hell of a name. I don't know where they're going with it. Let's find out.
I've not got particularly high expectations of this. So I'm hoping to be pleasantly surprised. It sounds like there's an awful lot going on with it because gin tastes of something, lemonade tastes of something. We've got juniper and botanicals. We've got lemon and we've got strawberry and we've got lime.
Yeah.
Shall we just open it up? And I need to get this over and done with, quite frankly. I'll talk about the drink itself once we've actually tasted it. So this is a 0% drink. It's a small can as well. It's 250ml. So in terms of the colour, it's kind of a slight pinkish hue. Otherwise, it's clear.
Yeah, very slightly pink. It actually looks quite attractive. And it has a lovely smell, like a really fresh, strawberry, bubbly, sprightly smell, I think.
One thing I'd say about that smell is it smells too strong. If this was like actual strawberries, it wouldn't be half as strong as the smell I'm getting from this.
That's possibly true, yeah.
I can only smell strawberry as well. I can't smell anything else.
No, I can't smell any lime. Certainly no gin. No lemonade. No.
In terms of the taste, again, I'm getting masses of artificial strawberry flavour, and I can't really taste anything else.
No, I can't taste anything else at all. So to me, that is a strawberry lemonade-y thing, but without the lemon particularly. It's just a fizzy, kind of slightly strawberry. The smell is there, it smells strong, and the taste is there for strawberry. Where's the lemon? Where's the lime? Where's the kind of gin element to it? That slightly, well, obviously the juniper taste, but
it's quite drying as well. It's quite almost like tannins. That kind of quality to it. So I don't know if that's kind of the substitute gin kind of flavour. You know what? As far as kind of like pops or sodas go, it's kind of okay. But I don't understand where the gin or the lemonade or the lime come into this.
I think their angle might be because it's drying on the tongue, because it's those tannins, a little bit like the kombucha that we had a few weeks ago. I think that's the kind of gin element to it. I think if you were to have a gin drink and you had it with tonic or even with lemonade, then it would have that perhaps slightly drying element to it as well. Other than that, that is purely to me a strawberry fizzy pop drink, and it's quite nice, but it just does not stand up being strawberry and lime or gin and lemonade, and it doesn't feel like a no-low drink.
No, it doesn't at all. And actually, if you just look at the ingredients list on it as well, there's nothing in there which kind of suggests any connection to an alcoholic drink. So we've got carbonated water, sugar, citric acid, flavouring. Doesn't tell us what flavouring it is. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing strawberry. And then preservatives, potassium sorbate, and it's got black carrot extract as well. And that's actually a colouring. So that's responsible for the slight pinkish hue.
Okay.
There's nothing in there which kind of connects it to a source of alcohol.
No.
The cider that we had just before, that actually contained cider. And the beer that we had earlier on was beer.
Yeah.
This doesn't have any connection to gin. It doesn't even say, juniper extracts or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by that list of ingredients, because wouldn't it be so easy to add in some of these things to really give that little punch of gin, or at least the juniper, and a little punch of lemon, something else going on. They seem to have gone, nice strawberry smell, that'll do.
Absolutely.
Nailed it. But it's almost like it's mislabeled.
Calling it a gin and lemonade flavoured drink, I think, is really stretching it quite a lot. It is labelled as alcohol free, and it says alc 0.0% vol. So alcohol, zero alcohol by volume. As I say, completely unsurprising, because nothing in the ingredients list suggests that it ever went anywhere near any alcohol. It is quite sweet as well. There's 19 grams of sugar in this 250ml can. So it's not quite as much as Coke, but it's still quite sweet. It's 5 teaspoons of sugar in it. Each can is 83 calories. It is vegan, although it isn't labelled as such, because apparently all Kopparberg products are vegan and have been since 2021, apparently.
Okay.
Apart from, so they do organic ciders, Kopparberg, but only in Sweden and Finland.
Okay.
Because this is a Swedish company, more about that in a second.
Right.
And this is also gluten-free, although it's not labelled as such. But again, all of Kopparberg products, all their ciders, standard alcoholic and no-low ones, they're all gluten-free.
Okay, fair enough.
So this is Kopparberg. They've been around for a long time. Actually, even in the UK, they've been around since 2003. They are actually legitimately a Swedish company. I've never been interested in their products personally. I don't really like flavoured ciders. So I've never bothered to look into it. But I just assumed it was like a mock Swedish brand owned by someone massive.
I did. It has that feel to it, like, these are all the elements, like a Häagen-Dazs. Let's make up a word that isn't real, but it positions our product correctly. But
no, it was established in 1882 in Sweden.
Wow.
It's a family-owned business, would you believe? It's actually named after the town of Kopparberg. It's where the cider was made. And in fact, they're the single biggest employer in the town, because it's not a very big town.
Okay, yeah.
The name Kopparberg actually means copper mountain in Swedish, which I think is quite nice. They are Sweden's biggest cider producer, and in the UK they've got about 20% of the market in pubs. So of flavoured ciders sold in pubs in the UK, about 20% of it is Kopparberg. As I say, they've been around for just over 20 years now. But yeah, I have to say, it's not an unpleasant drink.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever going to buy it again. How about you?
Well, okay. Let's look at the good. It's quite nice. It smells really strawberry. It is quite pleasant, and I actually like the kind of slightly drying quality, those tannins almost on the tongue. But it just does not feel like a no-low drink. It's almost like it's not even trying to emulate gin. And so why have it on the label? I just don't really get it.
Agreed.
in its own terms, I suppose, yeah, it's pretty nice. And I kind of prefer it to, another strawberry fizzy pop, for example, because the sugars, although there is quite a lot of sugar there, it's a little less evident. But as a no-low, yeah, it just falls down. I just don't think I could ever drink that and go, oh yeah. Like, it's quite pleasant, but it doesn't scratch the itch that a no-low needs to scratch, which isn't just about emulating alcoholic drinks. It's about having complexity and depth and just more going on.
It's worthwhile saying as well that it's available in pretty much every supermarket. I think I got this from Morrison's. It's currently on offer at £1 a can, and I think the standard price is more like about £1.20. So that's £1.20 for a 250ml can.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
Which is quite expensive. Between this and something like the Fever Tree tonic that we had, which is, well, it's certainly cheaper than this, and it is so much nicer, massively nicer.
This, again, I could drink it in a way, but I think as a no-low it falls flat. For me, I'm going to go thumbs down on this one. I'm going thumbs down.
I think for me as well, it's got to be thumbs down. I'm not going to buy it again. If I want something that's not dissimilar in terms of flavour profile, by which I mean sort of sweetness, a bit of dryness, I'll go for a Fever Tree. So yeah, thumbs down from me as well.
So there you have it, folks. The very latest episode of Minus the Hangover, and one where we've, well, figuratively speaking, popped the cork, so to speak, on not only 3 different no-low drinks, and 2 of them being pretty decent, I must say, and one, kind of not so much. If you are a producer and you would like us to review one of your drinks, look, we are quite unashamedly honest and unabashed in our views, but we'll very happily accept your goods and your wares, and we will give it a review. So please do get in touch.
Well, next week we have 3 drinks that we're going to be tasting again. The first is Doom Bar Zero, which is a 0% amber ale from Sharp's Brewery down in Cornwall. Second drink, we're going to be crossing the Atlantic to Mexico for Corona Cero, which I believe means zero in Spanish, although I don't speak any Spanish really. And then we've got our first listener suggestion. Isn't that right, Chris?
This is a friend of mine, Pippa Simpson, and I work with her a lot, and she has always taken a real active interest in what we're doing with this podcast, and she suggested a drink called Crodino, which is, I think, an Italian bitter orange drink.
Yes, I've definitely heard about it, and I believe it dates back from the 60s, so it's quite retro, so I'm really looking forward to trying it. And the other thing, next episode, the feature. Chris will be presenting us with a history of no-low drinks. Again, something else I'm very much looking forward to.
Well, there you go. That's next week, but this is now, and all that's left to say is thanks for joining us at Minus the Hangover with me, Christophe Phillips.
And with me, Pete Mason.
And we hope you can join us next time. Till then, have a great week and enjoy whatever drink takes your fancy, minus the hangover.
Hello, this is After Hours, where Chris and I normally have a chat about the episode that you and we have just listened to. Now, Chris isn't actually here today, so it's just me. Essentially, his computer's feeling a bit poorly, so he's taking a well-deserved holiday at the Apple Store. As a little peek behind the curtain, I do the editing for all of the episodes that we do. And I also do a little sort of last round of fact-checking, which some have told me is possibly slightly too late because we've already recorded the episode, but it's still quite useful, and I've spotted a tiny little fact which wasn't quite accurate in this episode, and it is simply that Brulo is actually not brewed in the Netherlands, but it is actually brewed in Belgium. So I got the name of the brewery right, and it is called something like De Proef Brewery. Again, apologies to anyone who speaks Dutch, because it is in Flanders in Belgium as well, and they basically speak Dutch there. Apologies to all the Flemish. So yes, you can see my confusion. But yeah, that was basically it. We got one little fact wrong there that I noticed. No doubt we'll get lots of people writing in to say about all the other stuff that I've got wrong as well, but that's fine. So yeah, that's all I've got for now, really. So goodbye for now, and we'll see you next episode.